Really appreciate the opportunity to ask a few questions today. Looks like the last day of the House, and I don't believe things happen by fate. You know, things happen for a reason. There's never coincidence. But it was interesting yesterday because I went to the CBC panel and didn't get a chance to have lunch, and so I went downstairs to grab a sandwich, a healthy sandwich from the Happy Baker, of course. And lo and behold, who do I see? Jack Keir, of all people. So with the revelation that Sean Graham is out trying to sell Mactaquac, and now we see Jack Keir in the basement of the legislature, could the Premier tell us today what file is he working on? Because I asked him, what are you doing here? And I didn't get an answer. It was almost like he was back as Minister of Energy. So was Jack Keir here today to work on the Atcon file to get the story straight, or was he here to sell the Mactaquac Dam?
The Honourable Premier.
It's a bit unfortunate when the Christmas poems actually has more seriousness than the questions asked by the Leader of the Opposition. Mr. Speaker, this is the People's House. This is the legislature of all New Brunswickers, Mr. Speaker, and that means anybody who's ever been an MLA, anybody who's never been an MLA, Mr. Speaker. We, of course, welcome all New Brunswickers to come visit the legislature. Mr. Speaker, I have to tell you that it is just incredible to watch the opposition continuously talk about the past. Monsieur le Président, si comprendre que
if we took someone, if someone from 2005 came here and was here today, they wouldn't even know the difference. They'd see that the people are talking about the same issues. It's unfortunate, really. It's I think unfortunate because it's a lack of an opportunity to have a fulsome discussion on the future of our province. As a government, we have choices to make, we have things to do, we have choices to make as members of the Legislative Assembly, and I'd ask the opposition to participate.
Well, Mr. Speaker, again, if people from the past are coming back to affect our future, I think it's an important question. You know? And Mr. Speaker, I've got my tickets purchased for the Force Awakens this weekend, and I didn't know when I saw Jack Keir there if it was the Empire Strikes Back or the Phantom Menace, because you know there's always two. There's always two. There's the Dark Lord and the Sith, or I guess the Evil Empire and the Sith. So, Mr. Speaker, again, it's a very important question because we've talked about the Atcon 6. It looks like we've got the Atcon 8 out at Mactaquac, or Atcon 7 at Mactaquac, Atcon 8 downstairs in the legislature. What file was Jack Keir meeting on here in the House? Because I asked the question. I said, what are you doing here? What file are you working on? I didn't get an answer, just like the many times we asked answers here in the House. So can the Premier tell us what file was Jack Keir working on when he was here in the House yesterday?
The Honourable Premier.
Mr. Speaker, I have no idea why the gentleman was here. I mean, he's welcome to come to the Legislative Assembly, as are all New Brunswickers. He's welcome to come to Fredericton. And for the Leader of the Opposition to have us believe that if someone enters in the legislature, they have to give some types of explanation to the Leader of the Opposition, that's awful.
It is really time for this session to finish, Mr. Speaker. It's time for question period to end, because we've seen over the last few days they're only debating things that happened in 2006 to 2010, Mr. Speaker. And today, in the first two questions of the opposition, we found out where Jack Keir is. We found out that the member opposite knows some things about Star Wars, and we found out that he ate a healthy sandwich, Mr. Speaker. So I really don't see how this is bettering the province of New Brunswick, considering that we have important choices before us to make as a society, as a province, and as a government. I ask the opposition to straighten up and to participate in the discussion.
Leader of the Official Opposition.
Well, Mr. Speaker, it's unfortunate that the Premier decides to take that tack, because it is important. Because the people that made decisions in the past that cost the province $70 million of taxpayers' money, those people are coming back now and coming back to roost. Because again, we've got Sean Graham couldn't sell MB Power when he was the Premier. Now he's trying to sell Mactaquac Dam. And now we have Jack Keir showing up the next couple of days, who was again the orchestrator of the MB Power deal and was involved in Atcon as well. I checked all the napkins downstairs, and there was no agreements written on napkins, so I'm really comfortable with that. But I wonder if the Premier would tell us today. We're hearing news that up in Caracat, in Bas-Caracat, the Naval Center is closing. And again, based on the Premier's word, he didn't have one press conference, he had two press conferences to say they were going to support that. So many companies went and did a lot of work, invested a lot of money. Now they're owed a significant amount of money because the province reneged on that promise. Premier can give us an update today.
The Honourable Premier.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I might as well join in on the fun here. This is very interesting. Apparently, Michael Olskamp was here not too long ago. Let's make sure that we are very transparent on both sides of the legislature. So maybe the member opposite can tell us why Michael Olskamp was here. I think the people of New Brunswick are just dying to know, Mr. Speaker. I'd really like to know what Claude Williams is up to, Mr. Speaker. Could the Leader of the Opposition give me a briefing on what Claude Williams has been up to over the last few weeks, Mr. Speaker? Could I find out what Craig Leonard is up to, Mr. Speaker, the one who said that he would get full compensation for Point LePro cost overruns but never did, Mr. Speaker? Could I find out where Margaret Ann Blaney is now, Mr. Speaker? The Leader of the Opposition tell us now that she's no longer working for Efficiency New Brunswick, a plum position given by the past government. And where's Bev Harrison? We're all wondering, Mr. Speaker. All New Brunswickers are tuning in, watching today to find out where Bev Harrison is. So could the Leader of the Opposition brief us on this important matter of where all these former Tories are, Mr. Speaker?